What's up, fam? My name's Kiahonfire, and welcome back to Conan Exiles. It has been a while, and whilst I was away, there was an update regarding the new thrall management system. So we have new thrall management. Now, what does that mean? You'll notice if you log into the test live version, which might be a bit difficult at the moment, I'll explain that why later, but you'll notice there'll be a follower tab now on your tabs, and you can see all of your followers listed. This is a handy new system where you can look at your followers all in one place. You can see their stats, you can rescue them from far away and teleport them to you. Bear in mind this does have a cooldown. You can break their bonds, or you could just cancel out of it. Another thing you can do on this menu is you can show follower markers. So let me just hide all these people. Let me say I want to find Chicken Wing and Dancy Pants. Dancy Pants is the one down there having a little dance. But now if you look at the map, you can see there's a little... There she is. There's Dancy Pants. And there's Chicken Wing down there. So I can see my thralls on the map, so I can go and find them again if I need to. Now, if we're talking about the cooldown, you'll have to bear in mind when you teleport them to yourself. Say I want Chicken Wing. I want to teleport this bird all the way from over there to me. I go on my followers tab, and I want to rescue. You're going to see it has a cooldown on it. Now, if you haven't teleported in a while, and your thrall gets damaged, it will take a 5-minute session for this thing to be able to be rescued. Once you have put on one cooldown, so you've teleported yourself a nice creature, let's say I've teleported my jaguar here, and I've got him, you have to wait 60 minutes to be able to teleport him again. This will cover the entire clan, so if one person in your clan summons one of these animals, then you will have to wait that 60 minutes to recover one of your animals. Also bear in mind when you teleport these guys, they will drop their entire inventory. So if I just refresh my cooldown now, and let me show you. So let's say I've been walking for ages, and I've popped all of these items inside this jaguar. I carry on, and I forgot to make him follow me, or I left him on scouting mode. Oh no, that jaguar is going to be walking all the way home, and I might not find it again. But you see him over there? Now I'm in this tab, I look for my creatures, I'm looking for the jaguar, and I'm going to rescue it. Once rescued, you're going to see it has moved near you or in your proximity, and I have it here. And in this case, it's left a bag, although I don't know if this bag will be left in the future versions. It's despawned now, but it might be left, it might not. There's been reports that the bag they dropped doesn't exist with some players, and some they do, so I don't know if you obtain their stuff, if you do rescue them. You're going to see my jaguar has a completely empty inventory. The inventory it once had is now gone and left in the place I last summoned it from. And of course now that I have summoned this one, I have that 60-minute cooldown. Now if you're thinking that's a bit long, you wouldn't be the only one. Of course I see it probably fair for official or big clans, but if you're running your own little private server, it's quite a nuisance. But luckily you can have some INI settings which will decrease the follower cooldown and stuff like that. I'll leave that in the description down below, so you can use those settings or copy and paste once you, once this gets implemented in the game, you can put that in your own INI. One bad thing about this system though, if you were to be out and about on an official server and you were to lose your animal or whatever under the map, under the mesh, you can't get it back, you can't just go anywhere and bring your animal back. You have to be standing on your own land claim. So if you lose your creature by somebody's base or in their land claim, someone just has like one foundation down, you're not going to be able to get it back. You'd have to run all the way to your base and summon it from there, or put down a fresh piece of foundation to stand on and claim it from there. And I know there's a lot of situations that you won't be able to retrieve it like that. So it's a bit scuffed. So you do have to run all the way back to your base if you want to reclaim your creature or make an own foundation and hope that nobody is in the nearby vicinity. I get why it's a thing though, because in PvP it could be groundbreaking to be able to just summon them anywhere and everywhere. It would make raiding quite easy. Not that animals are great for fighting and stuff like that, but, you know, it would definitely be quite pesky if they had a really good thrall, and they were just to summon it anywhere and everywhere, you know. So I know why that is a feature, but it can be a bit of a nuisance if you're out really far from home. One of the things in one of the previous versions that is luckily not really a thing anymore is that you couldn't summon thralls too far away. So if you were in the jungle and the thrall was here, you wouldn't be able to bring it to you. But that has been patched from the latest patch of the Test Life patch, so you do not need to worry about that anymore. Another thing is, by default, you cannot rescue any of your creatures from a build, like a dungeon, so if you lost your creature in a dungeon, you cannot bring it back from that dungeon. So overall, this follower management system is pretty nice and a very welcoming addition to the game. There is also a small fix on Archer's AI. They have 2 weapons. He has his bow, but he also has a cutlass. Now the problem was that when they were switching between the two, that sometimes they would become brain dead when they did, but now that has been fixed, so they shouldn't go brain dead anymore when they're switching from 1-hand weapon to 2-hand weapon, you know, like this. So they should be able to use each when they need to. Another fix in this patch is flint head arrows no longer require you to get feathers to be able to make them. It's only a branch and a stone now. One major thing I do want to talk to you guys about is one of the new horrible additions that is actually coming to Conan Exiles. I don't know if they're going to completely bring it because everybody's kicking up a massive fuss about it, and understandably, it is going to cause problems for people with lower end computers in general. This is called the Funcom Launcher. You're going to require this thing to be able to launch Conan Exiles or any Funcom products in the near future. All it does is provide news and stuff about these games and stuff like that, and access to their forums. But I think that kind of access is already quite readily available and quite easy to access. So I don't really understand why we are adding an entirely new piece of software to be able to launch our game, which, may I say, it's going to take you some extra time to actually be able to launch Conan if the launcher is provided in the actual game in the future. So if you just want to quickly launch Conan, not a choice anymore. You have to go through the launcher first before you can launch it through Steam, so it's going to be a double launch process. Let's not forget with this double launch process as well, this is going to be additional stuff on your CPU, which is going to make things slower. So you're going to have that as well as Steam in the background running away and stuff like that, which is no good. It's no good at all. It's just another thing that's going to make your computer slower whilst you're trying to play your game, which Conan does not need. It's a big game already. We don't need a launcher running in the background. We certainly don't need another launcher to log into out of all the launchers. I already have over 10 launchers on my computer. I do not need another one as an addition, especially where it is completely not necessary because all the news and things like that is also very easily accessible currently. So I don't really get whose idea was that. I think it's a waste of wage money paid to whoever suggested this idea. I think it's very silly. Very silly. I think it's just kind of like a thing they are jumping on the bandwagon like everybody else is doing to get a launcher out there. It's not clever, it really isn't. There was once a simple time where you would just get a CD and you would shove it in your computer and your game would launch and you wouldn't have to log into several things to be able to play your game. I'm also imagining that this might create problems if you wanted to play it on offline mode on single player or something like that. I can imagine if you have to log into that, then you're going to have issues. You won't be able to play Conan offline, which you can do if your Steam is offline currently, but I don't think that would probably work the same with a launcher intact. But I don't know, I think it's just a terrible idea. It just adds more process to doing it. The information's already there. Let me know what you think about another launcher. because I'd like to know if you have a different opinion. If you think this is a good idea, I want to know why you think it's a good idea. I'd be interested in your side of the argument, that kind of thing. But for me, I think it's a terrible idea because it's just going to add more processing. So if you're listening to this still and you don't like the idea of a launcher, please make sure, if you have a Funcom's forum account, to let them know we don't want it, because otherwise this comes to official and you'll have a launcher. And if you have a PC that isn't great, you're going to feel that. You're really going to feel that. And you will have way more processes going on in the background that you don't need. And I know how that feels, so it's not a good feeling, and it just probably means that maybe this person will not be able to play Conan Exiles anymore, which would be a terrible outcome. I've already seen many players say they're going to quit over this such thing, because it's just not well thought out at all. So make sure you speak up for those people that don't have such a good computer and stuff like that about this kind of thing, because we don't need it. We already have the Steam that is launching for us. That's already a background program going on. We don't need another background program going on to be able to launch just one game that we can already perfectly launch on Steam. Please bear in mind this is a work in progress because it's from the Test Life branch. I want to give a big ups to the people that have finally decided to work on live versions through the Test Life branch and let people test out their game through this and find bugs and stuff like this that otherwise would be just put in the game and not tested. So this is brilliant that they are now actually testing things through Test Live. So a great job on that, and please keep doing it because it is a very well appreciated thing, having all these bugs worked out and stuff like that in this version of the game. Pretty much means that you're going to get a less buggy product at the end of the game. Of course, you're going to get a couple of bugs that will slip through, but this Test Life will help filter out many of them, and people can report back on problems they have found. And if you would like to help Conan Exiles out on finding bugs and stuff like that, or getting access to their newest kind of stuff, and you're on PC, then you can use the Test Life branch as well and help them out and let them know in the forums about bugs you found and stuff like that. One last thing before I go, if you're having issues launching the Test Life client and you really want to have a look, I had an issue where I couldn't launch it without the Funcom launcher, which isn't a thing for me right now. I can't launch it. I can't get access to it. So the only fix for it is to go into your properties, go into your local files, and then you want to follow this path. You want to go to Steam Apps, Common, Conan Exiles Test Live Client, Conan Sandbox, Binaries, and then Windows 64 or Win64. You're going to find 3 options of Conan Exiles Sandbox. It say Conan Sandbox, and the one I got to actually launch the program was Conan Sandbox BE, so that's Battle I. That actually got the program to launch, and I couldn't launch it anyway but using that way. So I hope it helps you if you were having that issue on Test Live to actually get it up and launched. But anyways, thank you for watching today's video, and I hope you enjoyed all the information and the new Test Live information. This Test Live update was from the 24th of February, so that is when the recent patch happened. So there were more updates from the previous follower management system that was implemented whilst I was away. So bear that in mind. Bear in mind it's a work in progress, so it may be improved on in the future. And make sure to get your voice heard if you're passionate about this game. But anyway, thank you for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!